I think if you're trying to work on anything ambitious that's bigger than yourself, that you've never tried before and you never even dreamed it was possible, but you always wanted this to happen, check out Akatos, akatos.com. Reach out. My name's Jerry Jiang. That's me. And if I had to leave you with one thought, one line, don't be afraid to do.
Which is, yeah, whatever. So we're at Akatos house in Waterloo, Canada.
Hello.
This is Jerry Jiang.
That's me.
Yeah, camera's up there.
Hey, how's it going?
And we're doing, right now we're in the middle of a 2-week kind of build arena sort of
It's
like.
the Akatos Arena. It's a builder boot camp to get you going on the things that you care for. Specifically, it's for creatives, it's for engineers, it's for makers, technologists, researchers, anybody who has a vision and a dream that they think should exist in the world, but doesn't quite yet, and might be procrastinating a little bit. So we just want to help people get these ideas into reality faster.
Yeah. And so one of the things that I think we've seen a lot of is like people in Canada, but in Waterloo in particular, like there's a whole lot of talent, but there's not so much like direction or people who are actually like moving to do something. And so I guess this is kind of the solution to start to bring a little bit of that to the people who have the talent.
I think it's a bit more nuanced. I think in Waterloo, there's already a lot of activity happening, right? Like that's why I decided to come here, because I knew that this was just a collection of where people are constantly making and doing. But there's certainly any collection of people, you'll have kind of like a drift, right? In the wake of these superstars, there's always people around them who are maybe as capable, but don't do as much. And so what I want to do is try to expand that pool of superstars by helping those who might get left behind, push them forward a little bit more and get them caught up. So
I've known you for like 2 months kind of. This is the first time I've spent a lot of time with you, but I actually still, this is like a genuine question. I still am not too sure it's like your background.
Okay.
So you want to give like a quick kind of, or not quick,
sure,
but just like, I guess starting, just talk about like, where you grew up and stuff, and then like all the way until now, because I think that's important.
For sure. Yeah. So I was born in China. I was born in Beijing, the capital, and I moved to America first, actually, when I was 6. I grew up in New Jersey. It's a town called Fort Lee. It's right next to New York City. So I've always grew up dreaming above, the big city, because it's just right there. You could literally see it every time you would drive around the town. So you're like, it's great. And you would go there occasionally and be like, it's so good. But it's like, I'm not there. Damn, like, why not? And then, so when I was 12, my family, my mom and I, we immigrated to Canada, and I hated it. I was like, why are we leaving? We're right next to New York City. Like, why are we going somewhere so far away? And we settled in Aurora, which is where my mom still lives today. And so most of my time, I tried to find a way to get back to the US. As soon as I came to Canada for school, I knew that I knew that I wanted to test back into the US for college. And even though I actually got into Waterloo, U of T, and all these Canadian schools,
so you did apply to Canada.
Yeah, it was like you had to, through my school, like they forced you to apply. Okay. I really didn't. I was like, I have no intention of being here at all. I want to get out ASAP. But I did apply, and but I got into a number of U.S. schools. Where I went to was actually Babson College. It's a school focused on entrepreneurs. It was actually my safety school. I didn't want to go. Actually, my mom made me take the trip to Boston, which was so far, to go check out the campus. I was like, I don't want to go here, because growing up Asian here, you want to go to Harvard, MIT, right? It's like, oh man, I don't want to be in Boston if I'm not at like the good schools. Yeah. And my first choice was actually NYU. I'd always wanted to go back to New York. I was like, New York is like the best place in the world. There's so much things happening, and I want to study international relations, because I thought the most grand thing you can do in life is like be a diplomat, right? It's like to represent your country on an international level and make decisions. Like that was always, I was like, wow, like what a privilege and responsibility and an honor. Because if you're in China, like you can't just go for that. It's like you're selected into it. Someone else makes that choice for you. Yeah. But in the West, like you make your own choices. Anyways, I went to Babson, it's a business school, because just everybody on campus that I met when I was on my tour, like it's a beautiful campus. everyone was doing something. And I was like, holy shit, you know, I really wanted to be a part of, you know, a group of people like this. This is really exciting. Like, I want to be spending my time working on side projects and starting businesses. Didn't end up doing that. I got involved into a lot of school clubs, but by the time I graduated, I had entered school wanting to do some kind of finance. I grew up reading like Charlie Munger, Warren Buffett, Benjamin Graham, Peter Lynch, a lot of like value investors. Like, how do you find undervalued assets and, you know, make a lot of money doing that? Because that always seemed very romantic, right? It's like, you know, you find things that have a lot of value to you, but not to other people. And then basically convincing them that, hey, by the way, you're missing out on this really incredible thing. You have to go check it out. You're just overlooking it. And yeah, so that's what I want to do. But to get to that stage, it's like you have to, in finance, you have to go to like investment banking or like some like equity analysis job. And honestly, my grades were not good. I also just found it very boring. It didn't seem very interesting. I don't think I was very diligent in doing diligence on the homework and the jobs that I wanted. So I ended up pivoting my entire last year of school. I was like, you know, I went to the school. Babson is known to be like the best entrepreneurship school in America. And I was like, okay, well, like, why did I go to the school and not take any entrepreneurship classes? Because I was so finance focused and finance pilled. Yeah. And so I took the entire last term. The only thing I did was finance classes, entrepreneurship classes. And yeah, so that's kind of what got me into really entrepreneurship. Also, both my parents started their own companies. My parents left China in part because, you know, they saw greater opportunities to start businesses in America instead. So I was like, I should probably go. It would be a shame if I graduated from this school known for this topic that I have a lot of firsthand knowledge and experience in and not see what these classes are like what makes it so good. And yeah, that's kind of how I got back into the entrepreneurial world from finance. My first ever job. So I was working on like these random little different startup ideas and none of them were really panning out.
All in the States?
Yeah.
Okay.
I had no intention or idea of coming back to Canada at all. And yeah, so one of the things I was working on was a thing called Trip to Split. And to be honest, I didn't do a lot of work on it. It was a friend who was working on this. And I was like, hey, that's really cool. And I just kind of like inserted myself and I just started offering ideas and suggestions. And my friend said, oh, these are like kind of good ideas and suggestions. So I just got involved that way. And eventually I worked at a company called SiriusXM. They do satellite radio. Oh, yeah. Most people know about SiriusXM in North America. And I was doing product management there. Like, I had no idea what it was. I thought I knew everything in the world about business. I obviously didn't. I was like, you know, very young and naive.
Mm-hmm. And this is during school. This is not. This is
1 year after school.
Okay,
after I graduated.
Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah, I went to SiriusXM and I just realized like there's so much bureaucracy, right? Like, they hired me in as the first junior intern they had in a while. And they said, okay, you know, we like the way you think. Because I was working at my startup. I was telling the guy about my startup. And he was like, you know, like, we really would want you to, you know, try to like make some changes in how we do things here. And I thought, wow, okay, I have so much responsibility. They even hired me under like a special contract because they didn't have a budget for an intern. So they put me under like a marketing expense or administrative expense or something like that.
That's cool.
Yeah, so I had to operate on continuous. I had no health insurance. I had nothing. Yeah. It's like, cool, this is a big name. It's a cool company. I want to go try it out. Yeah. And it was just, I would have all these ideas like, hey, you know, it will make a lot of sense if we go do A, B, and C. They're like, no, we can't because of A or B or C. And so the incentive structure that I encountered was SiriusXM is a product available within cars. Cars themselves are very expensive. And the reason why these companies, manufacturers, wanted or even worked with SiriusXM in the first place was because this is a feature that people really like, that if you put it into the car, you're more likely to sell the car. The margins are great by doing that. It's worth it to install these chips and things like that. But everyone, because it's such an expensive product, try to cut their costs as much as they could on any single component possible, right? Mm-hmm. Because every single one of these components are doing millions of these, so it's a lot of money. And there was not enough investment into like computer chips on these things. And so you could not do anything software-wise with this car because it physically couldn't support it. And no automaker even cared about any sort of like follow-on services or anything like, because post-sale of the car, if people are not happy with SiriusXM in your service, that's your problem.
Yeah.
It's not the automaker's problem. No one's going to call the automaker and say, hey, my SiriusXM is not doing well. They didn't call SiriusXM. And so like I had to deal with all these business problems that I physically could not solve because we didn't have the ability to put more powerful compute into the car. And so I was like, this is stupid. And so I left, and my friend who did Trip to Split, he had started the very first hacker house in New York called Founder House. They used to have the domain founder.house.
Oh.
They don't have it anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah. It'd be worth thousands, tens of thousands today.
Yeah.
But yeah, so through that, I met a guy named Krishna, and he was working on an augmented reality motorcycle helmet. I was like, oh, well, like, sounds like you need to manufacture
what
stuff.
year is this? Like
2017.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I thought, oh, you need to manufacture, or 2016, I think. And you need to manufacture stuff. So I was like, I can do that. And I can figure this stuff out for you. That's what my family has been doing for a long time. That's what my parents started their businesses on. And so I joined the team as a co-founder. And I did that. We got into Boost VC. It's now, I think, a pretty good accelerator. Back then, it was like a very small, like not much name. It was just like, it was, we got 65K for our augmented reality motorcycle helmet. For context, the helmet costs like $2K, like that we want to manufacture. So it's like, so, it's like, whatever, who cares? We got started. Eventually, because I didn't know this guy very well, I met him through this hacker house, and then we ended up splitting up. But at the time, to be honest, I was like, I just want to go check out Silicon Valley. Like, I've never been there before. I want to see what it's like. And it was just my way in. So it was fine. But, I left the company and I ended up joining my family business, which again, manufactured and sold towels, across the US and the world. So like we had big customers like, Big Lots, which I don't think is very big anymore. We had Costco. That was our biggest account. We've worked with, Target and, all these other big companies too. And so, so from there, basically I was just doing a bunch of random things, and that business started not doing as well because a lot of manufacturing shifted from China, where we were, to India and Bangladesh and Pakistan and all these places. So at the time, we had been also spending more time in real estate because the real estate market was doing well. It was just Chinese people love real estate. Like every Chinese person, you ask them what they want to invest in, they want to buy a house, right? It's like land. You have to live somewhere. And so I was doing this. I was traveling a little bit, and eventually I thought, this is too boring. I don't want to die being a landlord. That's not very interesting to me. So I was like, okay, well, what can I do back in tech? Because tech is still very exciting, right? People make lots of money. There's just a lot of really cool experiences that people were making. I try to make a direct-to-consumer startup. Have you heard of Brooklinen?
Brooklinen?
Yeah.
Like
it's like
linen as in like...
Yeah, so it's like they sold bed sheets.
Okay.
Direct-to-consumer.
Okay.
And so I try to make like a direct-to-consumer bed linen startup in the UK where I was living at the time. I was like, oh, someone has in America. What if you just bring this business model somewhere else? Oh, And it was like one of those things. And that didn't get off the ground. That was very hard. It was like my first time really trying to make something. I didn't know anyone else making things. I always try to get my friends to quit their jobs to like make things with me, and nobody wanted to.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, well, shoot, like what can I do instead? Then I was like, okay, well, I know real estate. A lot of people are calling me because I'm at the age where people are buying houses. Like, hey, Jerry, how do I do A? How do I do B? I was like, what if I make like an AI real estate agent? Because I'm getting asked the same 20 questions. And through that, I went through a program called Build Space. Do you know Build Space?
You've talked about it.
Yeah. So it's basically like a 6-week online school to learn how to make things. And so I did Build Space. It was online. I didn't put in a lot of work. I was just like, whatever. I just knew that whoever was at the end of this program was going to be like super awesome. It's 6 weeks. You had to apply to get in. I got in kind of like on a technicality because a friend of mine, I discovered it from a friend of mine who was posted buddy passes on Instagram. It's like, hey, you can get an automatic entry if you see this. And I was like, oh, I signed up. And then I did Build Space. I went to the in-person session. It was like the most talented people I'd ever come across in my life so far. They were all insane.
And it's purely online?
Well, the first 6 weeks were, but there was a IRL, in-person meetup in San Francisco. Yeah. It was 3 days, and it was completely insane. Like everyone was working on something huge. They were all talking about Y Combinator and like venture capital and like they were all like 18 to 20. I met this like 15-year-old kid from Korea who was like, yo, yeah, like he had a business already. He was doing clipping and translation for podcasting actually.
Back
Chris
then?
Paul. Yeah.
So
it was like 2 years ago.
Oh, 2 years ago. Okay, yeah.
Like he was
Really?
like he had Chris Paul as a customer. He was
Cool.
translating it for Asian audiences. And I was like, wait, like, because I remember he was asking me, hey, can you call me an Uber? I was like, why do you need me to call you an Uber?
Oh, does he not have a bank account?
Yeah, like, well, he was 14.
Yeah.
And he was like, yeah, my parents said they would pick me up, but like, and they told me not to go walk by myself. But he was like kind of tall. His voice is very deep. I was like, your parents, like, what is this? 'Cause I'm a full grown adult, right? Like, and he was like, yeah, I'm 14. I was like, what? Like, and there's all these people. And the thing is,
Was he like Korean American or like from?
No, Korea. They
He, like,
flew
from
from
Korea
Korea
to
with
go
his
to this
parents
thing.
to go to this thing.
That's hilarious.
And the craziest part is like, he was doing better than me.
Yeah.
Right? Because at Build Space, like you, and in San Francisco, in the Bay Area culture, you really just get judged on the quality of output of work.
yeah, like
not
it's
on
totally
the inputs.
it's total meritocracy.
Well, not totally.
Okay.
But the results are.
Okay.
Right? Like, because obviously, like your inputs and how you get your inputs are affected by a number of factors.
Mm-hmm. But
But ultimately, the only thing that people care about is the output.
Right.
Right? Is the output good? Right? It's quite capitalist in that sense. So yeah, so like I was like so motivated. I was like, oh, I'm ready to move to San Francisco. I told my parents like, hey, I'm leaving this family business. I'm gonna do my own thing.
Yeah.
And yeah, I was out there for like 2 months. I was working on my AI affiliate agent. I hired 2 Waterloo co-ops. I hired 2 interns. Originally I was only gonna hire one, but then I posted this on Reddit because at the time the job market in Canada was bad, and I heard like, oh yeah, you can get like interns really cheap in in Waterloo, and so I did it. I was like, well, like, it's I didn't have a lot of money to invest in this project,
Yeah.
so I just said, hey, we got a startup in New York, and does anyone interested in working on a startup? And I think that experience taught me a lot because I knew I had no idea what I was doing, and I actually interviewed a number of people who did know what they were doing. I didn't hire those people because I knew that if they worked with me,
Yeah, they'd see the fraud.
like they'd be like, yo, this guy has no idea what he's doing. Like they would quit. I didn't know at the time that they probably wouldn't have because, the co-op credit and everything. But I do know people now who are like, this job sucks, I quit. Anyway, so I ended up finding a guy who worked with me, and I really like him. He's very reliable, dependable guy. And like, I would love to work with him again in the future. And I have a feeling we will. And then a second guy who was like, oh, please just take me. I'll work for free. I don't care. I was like, are you sure you're going to work for free? I was like, I was like, I don't know. Cause the thing is like, if you don't pay somebody, right, it sounds very attractive to have free labor,
Yeah.
but if they don't have an incentive to do well,
Yeah.
then like they actually take up more of your time. And so the guy that I paid and hired, he was outstanding. He was fantastic. Like he taught me so many things. Whereas the other guy also taught me many things about like, how to manage someone with less motivation. Like he grinded his ass off. Like he worked really hard for not being paid. I felt, the thing is, I also had this guilt all the time. I was like, man, he's like working so hard. So
Yeah, I'm sure.
it just made things really complicated. I think if you're going to work on things for free, either working on it with like people your own age, your own friends, like don't let there be a power dynamic because I don't know, it just feels weird.
Yeah.
But, or have it be a nonprofit, but I have opinions on nonprofits.
Yeah, which we've talked about a little bit.
Yeah. Anyways, yeah. So through that experience, I realized I'm not building anything useful. I'm not close to getting I interviewed like 200 home buyers.
Wait, so sorry, how did you get there to not building anything useful?
Well, because I was trying to, with my team, we built lots of things. So first, I couldn't code.
Yeah.
Right? So I'd be like the product manager. I had a 2016.
So you're
2017
purely business coming out of this.
Yeah,
Because-
when I first started.
Yeah, okay, because that's a thing now. Like, lots of business
Yeah,
school kids are
yeah,
trying to enter
yeah.
the space. But like,
Yeah.
so that was you.
So I had no knowledge of engineering or anything at all. And all I heard was like, you should go to hackathons if you want to like learn how to make things.
Yeah.
And I would go to hackathons. And that was like, I think the biggest welcome to life moment that I had in my life, because hackathons are genuinely pure merit, right? Like you only win if you make something that a person starts. So there's like one qualification. Do you get the judge to score you very well? Sometimes judges score you based on the rubric. Sometimes just based on how they feel.
Yeah.
It's all literally random, and that's how life is. And yeah, so I'd be like, oh, anyone can participate. And I was like, oh, that's great. I'm going to participate. anyone can participate, but most people can't win.
Yeah.
Right? Like there's a huge skill gap between the best and the worst people at these hackathons. And it's not even a competition. Like you can just, once you get to a certain level, you can talk to people and you just know, okay, most of these people are not going to make it, right? Like there's only maybe like 5 or 7 series teams competing for first, depending on the quality of the hackathon. And yeah, like if you're not technical, you just feel completely useless. Because like, what do? You sit around telling people what to do. But that's when AI started becoming big, and I was using like V0 and stuff, and I had over like 200 vibe coded projects. I would just keep trying things. I would just keep trying things. And I had different ideas. I'd prototype it out, and I was like, okay, go make this. But like, I didn't communicate exactly what the prototype to real product would feel like. And at the end, I would just never be satisfied. Right. And so I realized, after doing hackathons, interviewing 200 home buyers, I realized no one wants a AI real estate agent, because what they want is a good real estate agent. That's it. They'll pay for a good one, right? Like people don't like real estate agents because most of them are not good. Because qualification to be an agent, which I took the example, I don't think I actually ever got my license, but I did all the steps to qualify for it. I just didn't think there was a purpose of me getting my license. Mm-hmm. But yeah, the essence of it is most people just don't know what they're doing. What you learn in training is completely irrelevant to the job, which I think is so
counterintuitive.
Well, it's counterintuitive when you're going through it.
Yeah.
But it's so obvious in so many industries today.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what you're studying. Yeah. There are many different roles where whatever you do in school is almost like fake. Yeah. It's almost like making you do like performative assessments. There are some, like what at school teaches you, it's like, and I don't think people really understand this, at least I didn't. It's like, it's supposed to teach you how to think and not how to do. Yeah. The only person to teach you how to do is either yourself or that person who is doing the exact same thing as the thing that you are supposed to do or want to do. No one else can teach you how to do.
Right.
It's either you or that person directly responsible for that exact same job right now.
Yeah, my opinion when it comes, because like people ask this all the time of like, what do you think about school? And like, there's always just a lot of talk about like the value of your degree and all that stuff. And I think for like maybe in like first year, so like I've just finished third year. So in first year, I think I was really against it, and I would just like kind of blatantly say like, oh, like there's no value like whatsoever. Like school is just a joke in general. But that was like in retrospect immature, and like there was like more emotion behind that than there was like actual experience and thinking about it. Now, like having just recently like literally been in it and coming out and kind of like having the perspective to like create distance and like think about it with like logically and like what's the actual value instead of just like being angry that like I'm wasting time or whatever. I think I've realized that like it is what you're saying about like so like the original intention behind school when like the Greeks created it and stuff was like it was supposed to take the person who was like already capable of thinking for themselves and like give them the tools to make themselves think, like bring themselves out. Yeah. Right. So like when you look at like Alexander and being tutored by Aristotle, I think, right? It was like Alexander was already Alexander, and then Aristotle was just kind of giving him the things to like make him even more Alexander. Yeah. But now it's like you're replacing the innate parts of the people with these like systems and stuff.
Yeah, because I think the challenge is that the school system as is, it's underwent many iterations, right? So originally it was like personalized tutoring. Only the very wealthy, the very accomplished for a certain class of people can get education. And then it went to mass education, right? Well, I guess there was like universities in the middle, which is like, you know what? We're going to broaden access, but still make it kind of exclusive to people who are ready for it. Mm-hmm. And then the Prussians in the 1800s, after they lost the Napoleonic War, in the middle of the Napoleonic Wars, they were getting smashed by the French. And it was because their troops couldn't communicate. This is something I actually studied for, before I created Akatos. It was like, well, the modern school system, mass education, was first pioneered by the Prussians to essentially ensure that every single citizen can become useful in conflict. So you can communicate, you can tell time, because most people couldn't read or write, right? Like, and they all had accents, they had different languages, so like as a method of standardization. And that is by and large the education that I think that exists today. Whereas you come in here to meet a certain bare minimum level of quality. And so that's what most schools stand for. And then above that, within the schooling systems, there's like really good schools or prestigious schools, whether it's like, Harvard, Stanford, MIT, Waterloo, right, U of T. Well, I think even Canadian schools operate differently, especially U of T versus a lot of top American schools or British or other schools. Some of them are like the qualification to get in is like, this person meets like a certain threshold for ability to think and do. And so therefore you get in. Others are like U of T. It's like, okay, you get in and now we put you through the gauntlet and see if you survive. And the value isn't surviving. And then, and then there's like schools like Stanford, just like, we just take really smart people, put you in a little bubble where you can try and explore and fail at whatever you want. And if you fail, it doesn't matter because we'll just pick you up.
Yeah.
And so I think there's like all these different methods of education today. And now the AI age is about to like completely change all these value propositions because there's really nothing you can learn at Waterloo today that you can't learn like knowledge-wise in terms of academia, even YouTube, right? Like there's so much good content on YouTube. MIT has their free coursework. Harvard has their free classes. And what needs to happen now is, well, people still think that a degree is a symbol that, this person is ready for the workforce. I don't think that was ever true. I think it was always a proxy for having the skills that would make you successful in the workforce. Mm-hmm. And everyone always knew it was a proxy and the system was imperfect, but we kind of lived with it because like there was no better option. But now we do have a better option. It's like, how can I look at you as a person and say, if I put you in this role, how do you add value to my team?
Right.
That's what founders, managers, executives, that's what they think about.
Yeah.
And this has always been how you hire for like higher level functions, whether it's like CEOs or, like VPs, anyone who's like directors, anyone who's quite senior with a lot of responsibility. You're never going to be like, this person went to the school, so they make qualified, right? You're going to look at, well, what did this person do in the past? How do they think? How do they approach problem solving? And how do they solve the problems that we are hiring them to bring in here? And today, I think like young people who have the ability to push the boundaries of their own thinking and show that they're comfortable being uncomfortable, that they are willing to take risks, and they understand that, and they understand how to turn failure into success. So it's like, if I try an experiment, it didn't work. Well, it's like, but I learned something else from this experiment, and I'm going to run another one, and that one works, but you couldn't have run the second one without running the first one. These types of people are like immensely valuable. And I literally have startups and founders and VCs hounding me. I have like 30 of them, just asking me all the time. It's like, hey, send me some cracked engineers, send me some cracked people, growth, design, right? Like they're always looking for these cracked people.
Yeah.
And what they're really looking for is just somebody who has a body of work that shows how they think so that they can immediately understand that when you slot them into the team, they're not only going to perform the functions you expect of them, but like go above and beyond and excel in those roles. And the compensation for that is the ability to ride, a rocket ship that has very limited seats that you can all hopefully make a lot of money together.
Yeah.
Because ultimately, like a job, for most people, it's just to make money. Mm-hmm. Out of that, there's a small subset of people who are like, you know what? Like I know I'm good enough that I can find a way to make enough money to do anything I want. And the question is, what do I do? Right? I can make 100K, I can make 500K, I can make whatever. It doesn't matter. I know that I have the ability to get some sort of job in my field because I can solve any problem that people throw at me with just enough time.
So then what do you think like the future, I guess, of education or like the larger education system looks like? Because if it's I guess it's not going to move away from like the actual skill teaching because like that's still always going to be a part of it. But like, is it going to become more oriented towards like I guess making people want to do more projects or want to actually get involved in stuff rather than just like being involved academically?
I think it will certainly be much more practical, right? Like theory, I think theory is extremely important. I think like I used to do music theory. I was terrible at it, which is why I'm not as good of a musician as some of the people, who just kind of like you should like min-max towards either theory or practicality.
Yeah.
Right? That's one or the other. Like, you can obviously blend them, but you should like, when you're doing one, you should only focus on one and not the other.
Yeah.
That's what I would call a blend. I think the future of education is currently being contested by both public. Actually, no. I think it's mostly being worked on by private systems. So like private colleges, private high schools, private elementary schools, Montessori schools. I think Montessori schools are probably going to get a lot more popular.
I went to Montessori.
Oh, did you?
It was great. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, because of a lot of, positive feedback.
Yeah.
Just anything that gives you the ability for your mind to explore. Because reality is, we're fortunate to live in a time that we no longer have to worry about some of the very basic functions of life to sustain sustenance.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you don't have to worry about disease. You don't have to worry about water. You don't have to worry about a lot of these things for the vast majority of the population. And so some of the skills that kind of, like just the skills that you learn change. I think for sure, I think there's going to be like two types of people. One that's learning for the sake of learning. They like to absorb knowledge. They want to see like what kind of resources are in the world. That's essentially traditional learning, right? Like learning for the sake of learning. That's existing in Chinese culture, Indian culture, Persian culture, any, Christian culture, any old Jewish culture, every old culture, right? And that's one part, but that I don't think has actually grown very much in the last couple hundred years. There's always been a very small select group of people who want to do that. And the most important part is, what are normal people who only want to get a job to just basically sustain a certain quality of life they have in their head? How do they get those jobs? That is a question that I don't know the answer to yet. And I think everyone's trying to figure out.
Right.
Because traditionally, it means you go get some kind of degree of certification, some standardized stamp that says, this person meets a minimum bar for competency, so that you should interview them and hire them, right? Like getting a college degree was the way that you would, move forward with your life. I don't know what happened pre-college. I think you just kind of did what your parents did.
Yeah. Well, that's where like I guess the whole like last name like Fletcher's doing arrows and
Fletcher,
like Cobblers
Smith, and Baker and all whatnot.
Yeah.
I think like I don't know. There's so many changes to our society right now that I don't think people think about, like in terms of demographic changes. People are having kids later. They're having less kids. Maybe we don't need to change things much because automation allows us to fill some of the labor gaps, that exist, right? It could be that, like there's going to be riots and revolutions because people don't have jobs, because there's not enough value being created for shareholders to invest in investors to invest back in the economy, and they just hoard the money. And like that's a really bad recipe for civilization. What I hope and what I'm working towards making is an environment that everyone will have a personal portfolio, right? Like you can go explore whatever creative thought that exists, and you can do really good, well-researched, deep work on a subject and show how you reason and think through the problems in achieving those goals. Because ultimately, solving problems across multiple industries go through very similar thought processes, I think. I know what it looks like for the group of people who have what everyone talks about today is like high agency, right? Like they are proactive in seeking problems and fixing them. I don't know what it looks like for somebody who just wants to work the bare minimum and then have all the amenities of life. I don't know what that's going to look like.
Yeah, I've thought about that too, and I'm not sure either. But that's not really I don't know.
Yeah. So I think education-wise, I mean, what we're running here is essentially applied education.
Yeah. So
right?
What do you think? So for me, I've been getting more into like these kind of spaces where like I get like I guess finding communities where people are working on stuff where they're actually interested on like the projects they're doing, and I guess they are approaching life from a more like portfolio based perspective rather than just like trying to get their stuff out of the way and then get whatever job. So the value for me has been like, first of all, inspiration has been huge because I guess I've learned through experience that like your environment is really as important as they say. Never really understood that until I took myself out of an environment that wasn't really beneficial and then put myself in one, and I was like, oh, yeah, this makes so much sense. So there's that. And then honestly, that might be like the biggest, most important one. And then I guess there's also just like opportunity of like meeting people who like are gonna be like, hey, like come work on this. Like, you know, that's why at like Socratica this morning, that's why like I go and present stuff. It's because like the only reason that actually I even like reached out to you in the first place was because I was at Western and I talked about an essay that I was writing, and then Ella came up to me after and was like, oh my God, you would love Jerry. And then she sent you the DM on X. And it's like that kind of stuff too, is just like, I guess always putting yourself out there gives you an opportunity for someone to be like, hey, like you're kind of interesting, come do this. So those two things have seemed to be the biggest like game changers. But I'm curious, like from the perspective of someone who's actually running this shit for people, what, like where are you focused? Actually, you want to like, I guess,
I mean,
Akatos is a hacker house. You don't have to explain much.
Yeah. I mean, I will shield myself for whoever, hopefully many people will watch this, but yeah, Akatos, right now we're a hacker house, but Akatos was never meant to be just a house. It's meant to be like a spirit. It's a short form of ancient Greek word that means unbreakable will. And so that's the type of people that we try to collect, people who just at the heart have this burning desire and passion to succeed at something they really care about. And some people don't grow up with this fire. We try to find natural inspiration. I don't think you can put fire into people, but you can show them what fire looks like and then think, wow, I wish I have one day. Right? And that's kind of the role that I hope our community plays for others. And for those people who have the fire, but they're not really sure like how big or how small or, you know, where the fire should, you know, where should it spread to, like try to help them find their place in the world. That typically comes through the form of like startup founders. You know, Waterloo is a place of a lot of engineers, a lot of founders, and that's like the financially, you know, sustainable way that we can keep this thing going. But like I would love to find like writers, researchers, actors, musicians, like just people who really want to do great work, who want. I was actually last night I was watching a video from the Perimeter Institute, which is the world's best theoretical physics program that's right here in Waterloo, just a 5-minute walk away.
Oh right, yeah.
Yeah,
you were telling us about that.
Yeah, and so I was watching this video, and one of the people in the video was talking about Perimeter. Is like, Perimeter is not the place that tracks you based on how many papers you publish a year. We are a place that you go to when you want to go write the paper that defines your career, right? And that just resonates so much with me because I want to help people find what is it that you want to do that defines how other people think about you. Are we good?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So that's the type of people that we find. So
you can try pulling it towards you more. People. Yeah, it might just the depth.
So it's a community.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, so it's a community that many people live together, hang out together. That you have like constant, intensive, iterative feedback on what you're doing, where people criticize you, but understanding that it's meant to help you take to a further place, not to put you down. Because what I love about our house is that it's really the only place in Canada that I've been to that I feel like I can do anything. Yeah. Like I feel like I can be really crazy. I can say like things that people are like, no, like you can propose things that have never been proposed before, and people be, oh wow, that's cool. Tell me more. Instead of, yeah, but is that going to work?
So so this is like one of my favorite things about you is the, like the, just saying the stuff and not like backing down about it. So you want to like, what's the problem there with most people?
Yeah, I think most people are too shy, right? Like for me, I want to be a part of creating a civilization that, you know, not only cares for its people, but also helps them achieve the highest form that they could possibly ever achieve. And right now, there's only really like maybe like 3 or 4 places in the entire world, not in terms of countries, but cities where people feel that way, right? Like you have like New York, you have Los Angeles, New York for finance, right? Like there's a lot of creative stuff, real estate. LA is for like media, aesthetics, social, you know, any kind of like influence-based work. San Francisco's for like technology. It's for, I mean, there's some aesthetic stuff too. And then, you know, you can go to China for certain things. But yeah, like there's very few places in the world where, in Canada especially, where you are surrounded by people who feel like they can achieve anything. And I wanted to create a place in Canada for that. I love Toronto. It's a great city. I get a lot of FOMO not being there, but I do think there's a lot of bureaucracy in Toronto. The way the city is structured, it's very orderly, it's very controlled. And I think in Waterloo, there's more propensity for chaos. And I mean that in a good way. I mean by chaos and unpredictability, I don't want to live every day of my life knowing what comes next.
Yeah.
Right? Like I don't want to read a book if I already know the ending. And yeah, that's kind of what Akatos is meant to be. So right now we're a house, but for sure I want to make it into something much bigger.
So what would you say like to, I guess, so it's been interesting for me to see kind of the different types of people that are coming in here, because you kind of get like a pretty even split on like dudes who like kind of know, and there's guys and girls, so dudes is like whatever, but just people who like know what they're doing and are like pretty, or not what they're doing, but they have a project and they're pretty open about it, and then they're very like expressive about, you know, where they want it to go. And then you get a lot of people who aren't, but they still go out of their way to come here. So I guess that like people are realizing the value. It's just that it's a whole other operation. Like you just spent an hour downstairs talking to a guy about this, about
His
like
project.
Yeah, about the project, and about just like, okay, like I guess sure, one step is out of the way, like you're here, and like that's better than being in your room and doing that and like not, you know, having interactions with anyone whatsoever. But then it's like, what's the next thing? Because there's so many people like that I personally know who it's like you can see they're like ready, they're budding, right? Like they're ready to blossom, they're ready to go.
Yeah. I
I
think unfortunately in Canada, and it's not just in Canada, by the way, like there's other places too, like even in America and UK and China, right? Like where you see that someone just has this like urge and desire to have something to stamp their name on.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, they don't. Usually it's become of some like higher power that is perceived to be telling them no. Most commonly it's parents, but sometimes it's like social pressure. Sometimes it's like the school structure. There's all these structures that prevent people from achieving their goals. And I just do whatever I can to help them think, okay, what if this structure didn't exist? How can we push you towards your goal directly?
Yeah.
And I think value that we have for both men and for women. In fact, I think I was actually pleasantly surprised by how many women come through here.
Yeah.
Because there's so many people want to achieve a goal that's bigger than something they've ever dreamt of or seen in their life. But they're like, but that's crazy. No one's ever done it. I've never seen it happen before. It's like, no, that's great. Like that's how you create dynamism in life, right? I don't want to eat foods. Like I don't want today to be the last day that I've ever tried something new. And I think that's the culture that is kind of missing around the country, though it exists. Obviously it's not like it doesn't exist, but there's just no general undercurrent of like newness. When I go to Socratica, I feel like I see something weird or crazy every single time.
Yeah.
I once met the Canadian national yo-yo champion. You know, he studies physics because he wants to find a way to make a better yo-yo for his competition.
I met this guy too.
Yeah. He's crazy, right? Like,
wasn't he at Momentum?
Yeah. He's totally normal, but he's crazy.
Yeah.
Right? Like I was like, I never thought that you can go to school to study how to make yo-yos so you can go compete. That's just a weird concept to me.
Yeah.
But I want to be surrounded in an environment where I constantly get intellectually stimulated by these people rather than, okay, well, tomorrow's going to look the same as today and so forth and so forth.
Yeah. Yeah. I had an interaction with a good friend of mine who's like an older guy. And we were talking about school and like future jobs and all this stuff. And he was like, yeah, you better, you know, get your stuff in now because like by the time you're 40, it's like nothing new happens. And when I heard that, I was just like,
it's just sad.
Yeah. I was like, well, what do you mean? Like, and it's not like, I don't know. Sometimes when I say that kind of stuff or think that kind of stuff, I feel like it's, like, I don't know if pretentious is the word, but it's like so many people feel like that I don't want to like intrude on like their perception of life and be like, you're like a loser because like you think like that. But it's like sometimes it's like, and I'm not saying that people that think like that are losers, but like that's a stupid mentality to have in my opinion. That
because
like
the only reason why nothing happens is because you let that happen.
Yeah, because you're
and
saying
you can
that.
choose
like,
at any moment
to
not let that happen too.
Yeah.
Right. But of course, when you have a 9 to 5 and you have kids and you have responsibilities, maybe you have parents who are aging, like I get how that takes all of your time, but ultimately life is about trade-offs. Like for my family, like we always traded off, I'll be honest, like family, you know, like I never really went on vacations because my parents never took time off of work.
Yeah.
But like the benefit of that is that when I was a kid, I would travel with my mom around China to factories. Like that's what I did as a kid because That was my school vacations. Every time she would have to book a trip to go check the factories in person, she would do it around my vacations. And I was like, oh, it's vacation time. We go do this and that. Or I'd go to summer camps while she travels. Mm-hmm. And, for some people, that's like a very sad outcome. Yes, I can see that. But like, I'm very grateful for it because it gave me all this context about the world that 99% of people don't have.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'd be very happy. I'm always very happy to be in the 1% of knowledge, top 1% of knowledge, right?
Yeah. So one of the things that we also kind of talked about yesterday was like the global perspective kind of thing. And so I've been really big recently on like how much or how formative your like very young years actually are compared to your older years. Because everyone's like, your 20s are like the most important part of your life. And like people will say different things, but like no one ever says like 1 to 10. And I'm like, you forget about like the little time when like you're a kid and it's like you're the most perceptive, you're the most creative. And it's like those things tend to be the things that like are rooted in your personality and like rooted in your perspective that like you can't really bring out unless you do like psychedelics or like go on some, trip and
Burning Man.
Find some form of enlightenment. But like, so there's a quote, I forget who it's from, but it's that a person's perception of what's possible is often guided by their earliest interaction with geography. So it's like when you go from one place to another, and you're interesting to talk to us about because you obviously were born in China, moved to the States, and then lived in London.
Canada.
You never lived in the UK?
No, I did after. That was a lot later.
Okay, yeah, okay. And so I wonder, like, when you come here and you see like people, I mean, like people who are our age, like 20, and like in early 20s, later 20s, like how do you think that plays out in a person's life? How important is it to go in search of that now that you're 20? Because like people travel and stuff now, but it's like, I think a
lot of travel is kind of superficial. I think there's a perception, there's a type of travel that you do when you're younger and a type of travel you do when you're older. And that is true if you're like big into drinking and drugs, but I think a lot of people are not into that these days. And I certainly wasn't. I think the challenge in Canada in particular is that people don't really have the opportunity to travel within our own borders, right? There's no roads, there's no bus networks. I mean, they obviously exist. I'm just saying there's none, zero, but that the price, the frequency, the routes, the timing, it just makes you feel very inconvenient to get around versus going to Europe, going to America, right? Like if you're in the States, like people do road trips all the time. They'll drive down to Bonnaroo for a festival, and then they'll go to Nashville. I think that's in Tennessee. They'll go to like there's like all these festivals that you travel for. There's all these events, the sports games. There's all these reasons to travel. In Europe, it's more primarily focused on sports. Like the most working class person will still then go on a train or a bus and they go support their football team from their home. To go see different culture and do all these things, right? Like. Mm-hmm. In Canada, you kind of just like kind of sit where you are until you actively make a decision to leave, because we have such a car-centric culture, right? Like it's to walk for me in Aurora to walk to my neighbor, it takes like it's way too long.
10-minute walk.
Yeah.
To get to the next house.
And it's not dynamic.
Yeah.
So, I think it's very important to gain as many perspectives as possible. And if you want to make your own country a better place, then you have to go to where the best is and then bring that knowledge back. Because that's what China did, right? Like China's like the first country to really reverse brain drain in my knowledge. Yeah. Because I know so many Chinese people were like, oh yeah, I want to go back because quality of life is good. There's lots of technology. There's really amazing public transit. And it's like, oh wow, if you just make a place pleasant and easy and desirable to live and affordable, then people want to go there. Mm-hmm. And I think that's certainly possible here at home too. That's what I came back to kind of work on. Like the point of Akatos wasn't to just help people start companies and become venture-backed founders, which is a completely different goal, but rather, how do you, like, I just think that's one part of the dynamism. It's the upside that's capped here, but not capped in Silicon Valley. In Silicon Valley, no one's going to tell you your idea is too big. Yeah. Right? You're going to hear a lot like your idea is too small. So there's an exclusionary culture of, if you work at Meta, one of my friends told me the moment that he realized he came to Silicon Valley and he realized he made it was like they had a conversation. He's in YC. He was surrounded by a bunch of other YC founders. Like, if you get a job at Meta, you're in GMI. right? Like, and like Meta is like a very good, strong, stable job for a lot. Well, maybe not stable nowadays, but like it's a job that people aspire to, and they're like, oh, if you aspire for that, no, I'm not gonna make it.
Yeah.
Right? There's people even in Stanford who are like, I'll just do YC for, I don't know what to do, so I'll do YC. It's like, or like if you do any of these more really strong, objectively strong programs to help you improve your life, they're like, it's not good enough, right? Just because they're always pushing for something bigger. And that is the kind of culture that we have almost zero of at home. Like to think, like for example, like, if America, like there were a lot of, when Donald Trump was talking about 51st state in Canada, like a lot of people are like, oh, we're going to make America the 12th province, right? It's like, it's almost like a cheap, it's like a thoughtless comeback, but like, instead of giving a thoughtless comeback, imagine if the comeback was like, we're going to turn Vermont into the 12th province and then Minnesota into the 13th. Yeah. And then, like imagine you actually put some thought and effort into your comeback and you're like, hey, you know what if we actually tried? Like obviously it probably wouldn't end up very well, but like people don't even dare to like suggest these kind of things. Yeah. Right. It's like, if you're going to reason with somebody who's going to bully you around a bit, you got to kind of punch them back. And if you play hockey, this. Someone drops their gloves, they go, oh, I'm going to run, right? You're like, okay, let's go. Yeah. Even if you're going to get screwed up, you're going to get your face, punched to bits, but like you still got to fight. You can't just like run away, right? So I think like there's not enough like fighting energy here. People just kind of like let it go and say, people just kind of say, and it is what it is. And I really don't want to see more of that happening. Yeah,
it's like we're not aggressive, and it's like I don't want to use the word arrogant because it has like a negative connotation.
No, we need more pride. Yeah, for sure.
Like the state seems to be so arrogant in like everything that they do on a global scale.
Yeah, and it works.
Dipping their paws everywhere. But
like America will compete in any competition they want. Yeah, and that if it's got the letters USA next to it, it's like, oh shit, like you got to be careful with those guys. Yeah, right. They might go for the gold. And here, like I think people are almost like scared to tell people, oh, I want to win a gold medal, right? I want to come first. I want to be wealthy. I want to be impactful. I want to be, inspirational. I want to be influential. These are things that people are almost too scared to talk about. And we have to create a culture where that's no longer the case. Because if you can't even set your goal, how are you going to achieve it? Right. Yeah. And that's why everyone ends up going to the US. Like, James Cameron, Ilya Sutskever, James Cameron, director of Titanic. Ilya is the co-founder of OpenAI, right? Like Andrei Karpathy, the guy who created the first autopilot for Tesla. You have all these, Andrew Wiggins, right? He's Canadian. SGA, he's Canadian.
Yeah,
what's his name? Jamal Murray's from Kitchener. Yeah. He's next door.
Yeah. SGA just won MVP again.
Yeah.
Yesterday or today, whatever.
Oh, really? Oh, I didn't see that. Yeah. Wow. It's like,
well, our export's crazy.
This is why I love Drake, right? Like Drake is not apologetically Canadian. He's like, I'm from Toronto.
So I don't want to spend too much time.
Yeah, like I don't even like Drake.
Exactly, but like when you watch, I was talking to my mom about this like a couple weeks ago. When you watch like Drake and Kanye and a lot of these like big artists, big celebrity figures and stuff now, when they were in their 20s and they were just starting out, the number one thing that you see that's common across all of them is that they were completely unapologetic about like wanting to win and wanting to go, like picking the place that they wanted to go and just saying like, that's where I want to go. Like, I want to be great. I want to do this. And it's funny because it's like people will clown on that and be like, oh my God, like you're saying is like, blah, blah, blah.
You think you're such a big deal. Yeah. Oh no.
But then they listen to your music and they, wear your clothes and like,
dude, I remember watching KSI back in the day, right? Like KSI was just like this loudmouth who like yelled all the time. And like, it was just completely cringe. Yeah. And he still kind of is, but like, I think he's got like 1 million monthly listeners on Spotify. Yeah. Right. Like he said, hey, I want to make music. I'm going to make good music. And he made some shit tracks as well. Music's garbage. But people listen. Yeah. And it goes viral every time he makes a new shitty song. And it continuously and he just continuously moves forward. Yeah. Right. And so we just need people who are willing to just move forward. Yeah. And not think about, but what if this happens? And what if that happens? Like, if it happens, then you deal with it. Yeah. Right. Like there's nothing perfect in life. If the only thing that's perfect is absence of movement. Right. Like if you stay still, you're just, if you're a blade of grass, no one cares about you. right? Then yeah, like your life won't have problems.
Yeah.
Because it won't have anything. So yeah, I don't know. My goal is to create a culture. I think in Toronto, like they already have some, right? Like
For sure.
culturally, Toronto is quite relevant, especially Brampton. I think Brampton is going to be like I think give it 20, 30 years, you're going to just see this explosion of, because they have the grittiness that creates cultures. You know, they're shit on a lot, right? Like it's genuinely like the driving there is like atrocious.
Yeah, it is.
Like it's actually horrible. You know, there's a lot of things to make fun of Brampton for, but at the end of the day, like people are proud to be from there. It's like, yeah, you know what? Like, yeah, I grew up tough. So what? They're not scared to tell people I came from nothing. Yeah, you can make fun of where I'm from, but what you can't make fun of is where I am now. And we need some of that like, fuck you culture.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, I think if you just look at the output that Canada creates, it's fantastic.
Yeah,
right?
well, it's like there's
even
jokes
in Waterloo.
about...
In Waterloo, there's some incredible engineers, builders, designers. We have some of the best architects in the world here. Mm-hmm. And you look at our buildings; they're all so ugly.
Yeah,
right. It's like, why is no one in Waterloo hiring the best architects to make better looking buildings? Why don't we have people spend more money to pay your employees to do a better job so you can make more money? Right? Like, you know, you get what you pay for. And if you have a bunch of bozos in charge of the money, then we're going to get bozos with the results. And yeah, we have to challenge that. And the one thing I'm trying to do is try to convince more entrepreneurs and doers to like run for office this fall for a local council. Yeah. Because like if we had a council of people with a track record of getting stuff done, then maybe we could have a more ambitious city, right? Like this is Waterloo. Like, you know, we have much more public transit. We should like show the rest of the world what having like an engineering led, you know, like a carefully planned, well thought out, you know, design for life should look like. And you already see that with the Ion. It's such a great piece of infrastructure, right? Like people write it all the time. It's expanded the scope of where you can live as a student. It connects you to the rest of the city. Like, I don't know. It's just great. Like we need Ion to have more stops. We need a bigger station. I would love to stop seeing streetcars in general or light rail. And I would love to see like proper rail, right? Like I would love to get rid of the Toronto streetcar outside of like aesthetic purposes on some specific lines like SF has and move towards like a proper underground system, like with a TTC, give it better connection points and have a truly like world-class transit system.
Yeah. Well, people kind of like undermine the importance of that stuff.
Yeah.
Like how,
you know, like I don't care if homeowners and, you know, all these people say, oh yeah, but you know, what about this one? That's like, I guarantee you, if once that line is built and their property values go up, they're not going to be complaining. It's like, hey,
no, they're gonna love
my
it.
house is only worth, you know, $800K, right? Like, you know, what do you mean you want to buy my piece of land for, you know, 2.5 mil so you can build your tall apartment building that's going to sell for, I don't know, X amount of dollars each, right? Like, just progress must occur. Right? Like we didn't get universal health care because we're like, yeah, you know what, let's negotiate. Americans tried that, right? Like they tried to negotiate for Obamacare. And right now, American healthcare is worse in some respects than it was before because they were too scared to push all the way. Whereas, you know, in Canada, we actually have, you know, a system that is, I think, feels right for people. It's like, hey, you know, if you're sick, there's someone in society to take care of you. Now we have other problems, but like the solution is not to privatize. Like I'm a big fan of the private markets, but I don't think the solution to Canada's healthcare system is to privatize it. I think you certainly have more private components, but the fact that anyone can get sick and get treated for it, that is a principle that we should uphold and improve upon by like delivering better services, by training more doctors, right? Like by using more technology, like advancing more research. Like this should be the number one place in the world to research and deliver strong healthcare outcomes.
I also think that like people kind of maybe forget that like you can find like a really particular thing, like a super niche part of any system that doesn't work. Like our healthcare system is, we obviously know there's like so much garbage in it and it's just latent. Like that's the problem. It takes too long to do anything. You can make like I have some friends in school who spent a bit of time working on like pneumatic tube systems for like drug distribution in hospitals, which just like cuts the time down that like, you know, nurses have to walk from like A to B in the hospital, and then that saves them like an hour every day, so that like, you know, you can then work on another patient, that someone in emergency doesn't drop dead because they're waiting for like, you know, a cut on their arm to like whatever get bandaged. And like I think that like to have people who are talented and to put them in a place where like then they recognize that they can go and make like a little project that like does solve a really niche issue like that, but then does have like outsized returns for them and also for the rest of the country, because people are going to benefit from that, is like makes total sense.
The thing I've always told people is like, we have a European social, we should have a European social welfare system and an American capital market system, because we know that both of these are good in their respective countries. Mm-hmm. Instead, we have an American social welfare system and a European capital market system. You know, like we have like a chimera.
Yeah.
And is it a chimera? It's like a
combination.
Yeah, but it's like a bad combination, right?
Yeah.
And we just have to we have to make it like a good, like a nice fusion of what's possible. Mm-hmm. And I think it is possible. I think the foundations of like a civilization that wants to negotiate and work with each other, and like you have to have trust at the end of the day, right? Like you have to have some kind of trust, like, you know what, this person is going to do well by me. I think that trust does exist, more so than any other country that I've lived in, and I lived in lots. So yeah, that's what I'm trying to do here.
So how important, from my point of view, it's really important for like individuals to be, well, I don't know, not even from my point of view, I think like factually, individuals are kind of the people who like make things what they are. Like a lot of people are like, one person can't do anything.
Yeah.
I don't think that's true at all.
Yeah.
My quote, my wallpaper is a Dune quote. It's
oh really?
When the course of humankind, the very future of humankind depends on the relatively simple actions of single individuals.
Yeah.
So it's just like, it's so important for like one person to just like, you know, like what you're doing, to just get up and be like, everyone like, you know, say fuck it and just like do what you want to do.
Well, the way I think about it is like the national hero of Canada is Terry Fox.
Yeah, that's what we've been talking about.
Guy,
we got Drake and Terry Fox.
Yeah, but like Terry Fox is this guy who literally decided to run across a country with cancer on one leg, and he had like no pedigree to go make a big change, but all he knew was like he wanted to do something, right? And so if that is who our role model and our icon is, well, why are we not pushing that lessons of that one person can do anything forward? Because we should, because it proves that if you're one person, and by the way, when he started, apparently, like I was digging into the history the other day, it's like apparently a lot of people thought he was really stupid. Yeah. But it was like, he's so bold and audacious that you simply could not continue to like not support a guy running across the country on one leg. Yeah. Like that's insane. And so we just need more people who can't be ignored.
Yeah.
And hopefully that's what I'm trying to do.
And I think they're here. It's just like,
we've gotten started.
Yeah. Well, they're somewhere. You just got to pull them out.
We've gotten started. And we just need more individuals. And so I know there's a group of guys who started a hacker house in Toronto. Mm-hmm. I know people have been asking me about like a house in Montreal and, you know, hopefully in London or, you know, in Hamilton. And, you know, and honestly, we just need more cities. Like Waterloo should be a city, right? Like we need more cities to come up that become world class and world famous. Mm-hmm. You know, I would love for there to be more ski resorts in Canada, right? Like, you know, everyone knows skiing is expensive. Like imagine we had, you know, in Alberta, we had some more ski resorts. Yeah. That would be amazing. Imagine we had more planes. We had more airports.
Yeah. Imagine we had people from here who would go to Alberta.
Yeah. Or maybe we have more short, actually Waterloo has direct flights to, the Waterloo Regional Airport has direct flights to Alberta. Yeah. To Calgary.
And people should take that.
But yeah, we should have more of these flights, and we should have more tourism and business services being offered. Be like, hey, you know what? If you can come to Alberta cheap and, you know, have a new ski resort and serve like London Airport, you know, Hamilton Airport, you know, Waterloo Airport, and be like, hey guys, like come here and, you know, go ski, because we have some amazing mountains and we should just develop them into world-class resorts. Yeah. I don't know why we don't do that, but someone should do it. Maybe it's me one day. I don't know. I would love to do that.
Well, that's what money. It's like in like a kind of ironic but like hilarious way. It's like our country at like the snap of a finger could be like fantastic. Yes, not literally at the snap of a finger, but like the potential is like so there.
You know, you just start doing something now, and if you're watching this and you just start working towards one big ambitious goal, I promise you, the bigger and more ambitious the goal, the better quality the people who will help you. No ambitious person wants to work on simple, easy projects. Okay. You're not going to go find an NBA player and tell him, hey, come play with, my D League team or like my, my junior varsity team. And they're like, okay, whatever. But if you're telling him, hey, we're trying to make the number one junior varsity team in the entire world, right? Like we're going to do like social media, right? We're going to get like everybody in the town to come. We're going to create a big atmosphere and you should join because you're going to help catalyze it. They're much more likely to join you than, if you don't do it.
Yeah.
And if you make something small, right? If you want to engineer, if you want to, people to join you, you have to set big, ambitious goals. Yeah. And you have to, because the very act of having the chutzpah to say,
wait, make sure, pull it
yeah.
when you say, no, the mic.
Oh,
make sure.
Yeah.
When you say this.
The very nature of the act of daring to go do something big will attract the right kind of people.
Yeah.
Because you don't want the normal people who are just tourists and like, oh, that's great, good luck. Those support is always necessary and appreciated. But ultimately, you need the doers to kind of coalesce around you.
Yeah.
So.
No, I think that's huge.
That's what I'm trying to do.
Well, that's hopefully where it goes.
Yeah. So I really think Waterloo has the capacity to become a world-class city.
Yeah.
Right? Like everything that doesn't exist here can be built. And luckily we have engineers. Mm-hmm. You can engineer anything. Right? I'm not an engineer by training, but you can build things.
Yeah. And
you can get engineers on board. But engineers sometimes need visionaries. Sometimes engineers themselves are visionaries.
So I'm curious what you would say to like, because I struggle with this kind of like, I don't want to shit on people who like are like, oh, like I don't need to know engineering because like I'm the ideas guy, and like the opposite, who are just like the engineers who don't think they need to know about the ideas, or like, because we were talking about like how important it is to actually be able to sell stuff rather than just like make stuff. And like people put sales in this kind of like weird genre where it's like, oh, it's bad, but like you have to get people to get attention, and that's like what sales is. So I wonder, like, what would you say to, I guess the engineer who is stuck in their world and the business kid who's ignorant of the rest of it?
Well, I think first you should understand which world you're in and where you're good at, where you're not, right? Like understand like where you genuinely stand with your peers. Mm-hmm. And then second, there's nothing ambitious that ever happens alone. It starts alone, but it starts with one person having an idea, but you need a team around you to make it work. And at the end of the day, like all you need to do is get started. But if you are somebody without necessarily the technical skills to get it off the ground, then it's your job to either learn it as fast as you can or convince somebody to join you on it, right? Because imagine trying to become a real estate developer without knowing the cost of the parts. Like it's just not going to work. You're going to run out of money. Imagine trying to become a singer, but not having any sort of idea of like tone or notes. Like you can't read music. Like it's just not going to work. Like you don't have to be the world's foremost expert at it, but you do need a certain level of, you don't even need level of competency. You need the willingness and the ability to reach the minimum standard required to achieve success. Mm-hmm. Sometimes, and I think oftentimes that minimum standard is actually like quite low down here. For other problems, it's pretty high. It's up here. But the point is you just have to continually accumulate action until you reach that minimum, wherever that minimum might be, right? Like if it's up here, then you cheer. Like you just have to hit that minimum. Like if your job is to be if your job is to be like a employee, a follower, then you have to be very strong at the specific role that you get. But if you're a generalist, if you're a leader, then you don't need to be the foremost expert at everything. You just need to make sure that you need to hit the minimum standard required of every item that is important to your success.
And I also think
of course, the bigger the leader, the more ambitious leader you want to be, the higher that will be. But you only get there by finishing the prerequisite steps first. You can't jump up immediately. You can jump vision, but you can't jump responsibility.
I think it's also personally, I've thought a lot about like the connotation that comes with like saying with the words like leader and like follower and employee and stuff. And I don't know if that like discourages other people, but in the past I've definitely been like, ooh, like even just like, again, the connotation of the word follower makes me like kind of weird about it. But I want to like just say that like I think just because you're a follower doesn't mean like it's not bad. Like inherently, like it's necessary. Like you have to exist, right?
Yeah, I think it's like knowing your place in the world.
Yeah,
because some people will never be a leader. Mm-hmm. They'll always be a follower.
But that's not like that's not like negative. It's just the way it is.
Yeah, you just whatever you feel like your role in life is supposed to be, just be the very damn best you can possibly be.
Yeah. And so I wish that's why I hate this whole like the 9 to 5 is stupid and like all that stuff, like don't get a job, like that kind of mentality, because it's like it's ignoring the value that like the fact that, you know, our houses and like our Wi-Fi was built by dudes who would wake up at 5 a.m. and, you know, hammer and nail shit for 12 hours a day and then go to bed and do it again for like years on end.
Yeah, I think what you just need to do is find your space, find your people, and just make sure that wherever it is, you're amongst the very best. Yeah. That's kind of, and if you can do that, the rest will come to you. Yeah. If you're surrounded by the best, you'll become one of the best. And if you're one of the best, you'll find other people are also the best in their respective fields. Because to be excellent is actually, I think, a general skill. Because the discipline, the thinking, the bias to action, the repetitiveness, the monotony and lowliness of doing that, I don't think that's unique to any specific field or industry. Yeah.
Okay.
Good chat.
Drop one line, most important thing that you want to get across. Probably put this at the start of the video, actually. And if you want to plug anything, that's important.
I think if you're trying to work on anything ambitious that's bigger than yourself, that you've never tried before and you never even dreamed it was possible, but you always wanted this to happen, check out Akatos, akatos.com. Reach out. My name's Jerry Jiang. That's me. And if I had to leave you with one thought, one line, don't be afraid to dare. Don't be afraid to dare.
All right,
let's go.
Okay, thank you. Question
from the audience.
Yo, hop in.
You can cut it.
No, hop in and say it.
Hop in.
Ask. My back is sweating crazy, bro.
Yeah, it's warm today.
Yeah, I know. I can finally look over here. I've been stressing.
Oh, yo, I gotta take phone call from Rowan and plan dinner very soon. So.
Oh yeah, like 3 seconds.
Yeah.
If you had to like relive your life and your journey, but change only like one thing about it, what would that difference be?
I try not to have regrets.
Yeah.
So I kind of don't want to answer this because I really feel like I can't be where I am without like going through all the tough stuff that happened to. Because it's easy to say, I want to get rid of the mistakes and tough parts, but they contribute to winning later on. There's this one specific moment when I was in college at Babson where there was this group of people who, if I think about it, was like original hacker house. We had a thing called E-Tower, which is an entrepreneurship tower, which is all the entrepreneurial people, kind of like really entrepreneurial people live together. Because even though Babson is an entrepreneurial school, any kind of ecosystem that you join will have a variance of quality of people, right? And those were the most entrepreneurial people. They're always the most interesting people. And I wish I got involved with those people a lot earlier because I just think I would have done things faster. And yeah, like time is for sure the most valuable asset and resource that you have. And you never understand it until you leave the employee mentality where your compensation and outcome for yourself in life is capped at whatever that compensation is. This is why I think the tech industry is only going to grow and not shrink, because it's the only industry that exists, as far as I know today, where your outcome is directly linked to your output. It's obviously not as equal as maybe some people would like it to be, but you genuinely own a piece of the work that you make. And so that incentive structure is just very hard to replicate. And if you have that incentive structure, then you'll understand, wow, sometimes it's worth putting in more time, sometimes it's worth putting in less, but you are really in control of your own destiny. Yeah, I would say like just get involved with the entrepreneurial people, get involved with people that value their time over the any other currency. And yeah, I think that leads you to where you need to go.
Awesome. And then 10-second answer. If you were any drink, what drink would you be?
A virgin pina colada.
It's awesome.
Virgin pina colada.
Thank you.
I love virgin pina colada.
I like mojitos. Or like
Oh, I don't like drinking, so.
No. Like, what's it? Nojito?
No.
Non-alcoholic? I don't drink either.
Yeah, I don't know. Just pina